Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. I want you to close your eyes for just a second and imagine a scene straight out of a cinematic blockbuster. The sky above is entirely choked with these thick, dark, absolute doomsday clouds. Torrential, unforgiving rain is pouring down. You've got catastrophic lightning tearing through the sky, and an entire city is standing on the absolute brink of drowning. There's chaos, there's panic literally everywhere. And right in the middle of this apocalyptic destruction, a little boy, just 7 years old, steps forward.
So who lifted a mountain on their pinky finger to save a drowning city? I mean, it sounds exactly like the ultimate superhero movie, doesn't it? But what we're looking at today is actually not a modern Hollywood script. It's one of the most profound, deeply historical and mythological events from the ancient Braj region of India. The boy we're talking about is none other than the young, mischievous Krishna. But the real mystery here isn't just how he managed to physically lift a massive mountain on his little finger. It's why he did it in the first place.
Section 1. The Ultimate Superhero Story. To really grasp the sheer magnitude of this event, we have to look at why this young boy took on the mighty god of rain. Because listen, this wasn't just some physical battle of strength. It actually reveals a massive philosophical debate that completely changed how an entire culture viewed their environment. What we have here is a monumental clash. On one side, you've got the towering, fragile ego of a celestial being, and on the other, a 7-year-old boy whose sole dedication is to the survival and the enlightenment of his people. A massive ideological shift was about to happen right in the heart of Braj.
Section 2. Tradition versus tangible nature.
So, let's set the scene. It was the month of Kartik, and the people of Braj, led by Krishna's father Nanda Baba and his mother Yashoda, were in an absolute frenzy of preparation. Everywhere you looked, grand feasts were being cooked, altars were being decorated for their big annual tradition. They were putting together this massive ritual to worship Lord Indra, the god of rain. But why? Well, honestly, it was built entirely on fear. The core belief was that if they didn't appease Indra, he'd get angry, hold back the rain, and bring a devastating drought that would completely ruin their crops and starve their cattle. Now, young Krishna is watching all these frantic, fear-based preparations, and he innocently sparks a pretty radical philosophical debate.
Krishna goes right up to his father and asks a remarkably logical question. Why are we actually doing this? Nanda Baba explains their fear of a drought. But Krishna brilliantly argues a completely different perspective. He says, look, Indra lives far away in the heavens, right? Bringing rain is simply his duty. It's his nature. Why are we desperately flattering a distant deity just out of fear? We're forest-dwelling cowherds. Our true reverence belongs to the tangible nature right in front of us, the actual physical environment that directly nurtures our lives every single day.
And he shifted their entire perspective by pointing directly to Govardhan Hill. He told the villagers, think about it. This mountain right here gives our cows abundant green grass to graze on. It provides us with fresh, pure water streams. It gives us our roots, our fruits, our daily sustenance. By clearly listing exactly what that specific mountain provided, Krishna's logic was so undeniably rock solid that he actually convinced the entire region. Literally, the whole community abandoned their blind, fear-based tradition, stopped worshipping Indra, and instead took all those massive offerings to honor their immediate life-giving ecosystem, Mount Govardhan.
Section 3. The Wrath of Indra.
As you might guess, things escalate pretty quickly from here. First, the Braj people actually divert their offerings. And when word of this reaches heaven, oh boy, Indra's divine ego is deeply, deeply wounded. He sees this as a massive, unforgivable insult, especially because the whole thing was orchestrated by a mere child. Feeling completely disrespected, Indra decides he needs to make an example out of the people of Braj, and he unleashes absolute cinematic destruction.
I mean, Indra didn't just send a bad rainstorm, he summoned the Samvartak clouds. For context, these are literally the doomsday stormbringers, the clouds of total annihilation. He ordered them to completely drown the entire Braj region. The sky turned pitch black in an instant. Catastrophic lightning started striking everywhere, freezing hail pelted the ground, and a monstrous, terrifying flood began to rise, threatening to wipe out absolutely every living thing in its path.
Section 4. The 7-day epic struggle. The villagers were absolutely terrified. I mean, they're freezing, they're desperate, they're watching the water levels rapidly rise. They gather up their cows and calves and run straight to Krishna, basically crying out, "You asked us to abandon Indra and now we're all going to die." But Krishna, he just calmly tells them not to panic. He walks right up to the massive Govardhan Hill, and in this breathtaking display of divine power, he playfully reaches out and hoists the colossal mountain right onto the little finger of his left hand. He literally lifted it as easily as a child opens up an umbrella, and he invited every single villager and animal to come take shelter underneath. The timeline of this incredible standoff is just astonishing. On day 1, the flooding from those Sambertok clouds is catastrophic. By day 3, Indra realizes the people are surviving, and he is furious, so he cranks the storm's fury up to absolute maximum capacity. But Krishna? He remains completely unmoved. He stands there like an unshakable pillar, without a single drop of water or a grain of food. Finally, by day 7, after non-stop apocalyptic pouring, Indra's clouds completely run dry. The destructive power of a literal god is totally exhausted, and his ego, finally, utterly breaks.
Now keep in mind, this wasn't just a physical holding of a giant rock. It was a highly coordinated divine shield. While Krishna maintained his immovable fasting stance at the center, the powerful Sudarshan chakra hovered right above the mountain, generating immense heat to evaporate the relentless floodwaters pouring from the sky. And meanwhile, the great serpent Sheshnag coiled all around the base, physically blocking the water flow from rushing in from the sides. Together, they kept the people perfectly safe and dry, while Indra threw literally everything he had at them.
Section 5. Triumph over ego.
Finally, the very last drop of rain fell. The heavy, dark clouds parted, and the brilliant, warm sun pierced through over the entire region of Braj. Think about where we started. An arrogant god who demanded transactional worship through fear. But after those 7 grueling days, Indra realizes his massive, catastrophic mistake. He suddenly understands that this child is not ordinary at all. He is the avatar of Lord Vishnu himself. So Indra descends from the heavens, his ego entirely shattered, and he literally falls to apologize at the feet of this incredible child.
With the storm over, Krishna gently placed the mountain back down on the earth. Everyone emerged safe, cheering, and celebrating. To seek genuine forgiveness, Indra actually brought holy water from the trunk of his celestial elephant, Airavat, and the divine cow, Kamdenu, bathed Krishna in her milk. Through this beautiful, sacred ceremony, Krishna earned a brand new title, Govind, which translates to the Lord of Cows and Senses. And you know, this exact moment marks the origin of the Govardhan Puja, or the Annakut festival, which is still joyously celebrated by millions today.
Section 6. Our ecological duty today.
Now, let's bring this epic standoff straight into the 21st century. Because honestly, to just look at this as ancient, distant mythology is to miss the core point entirely. The message is this: we must worship and protect the nature that directly nurtures us. Krishna wasn't just performing some flashy magic trick for his followers. He was delivering a massive, brilliant environmental thesis. He was urging humanity to stop looking for salvation in distant, invisible places out of fear and instead recognize the immediate, tangible value of our local habitats, our trees, our rivers, our mountains.
So what does this actually mean for us right now? First, we need to shift from blind rituals to practical nature conservation. We seriously need to dismantle our own human arrogance over the environment. We need to conquer our own inner Indra, if you will. We have a profound duty to protect our local resources so future generations can thrive. And perhaps most importantly, we need to recognize the phenomenal power of collective unity during a crisis. Think about it. When that entire village gathered under one roof, one mountain, they survived the ultimate disaster. True devotion today means acting as active guardians of our clean water, our forests, and our wildlife, rather than just taking them for granted.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. If a 7-year-old boy was willing to stand absolutely still for 7 days, fasting and literally fighting a god just to protect a single mountain and his local ecosystem, what are we doing to protect ours today? As we face our own modern environmental crises with extreme weather and rapidly disappearing habitats, keep this question in your mind the next time you look at the nature right outside your own window. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.